Good morning, dear speakers and participants of the annual conference Energy with No Gender. My name is Anastasia Gorbach. I'm the coordinator of Women's Energy Club of Ukraine. Let me make some housekeeping instructions about how to use Zoom. First, we have a chat box where participants can write their questions to the speakers or the moderator. Please do not forget to mention whom the question is for. Also, we have bilingual interpretation. In the bottom of the page, you can see the interpretation sign, and you can use the most comfortable language. Also, dear speakers, if you have any questions to the organizers, in the chat box, you can make personalized questions, and we shall quickly help you. Dear participants, this year, like for all Ukrainians, it was difficult for us to plan this conference because nobody takes a risk to predict what will happen even on the next week. And today, regretfully, I received the letters from some of the participants that they will not be able to attend as visitors because they have problems with power supply, but they will obviously see it in the recording. Today's topics of the panel discussions are as important as never before because we all believe in our victory and we need to confidently plan for our better future and its efficient and inclusive renewal. Therefore, for the welcoming address, I would like to give the floor to the president of Women's Energy Club of Ukraine, Madam Valentina Belyakova. Valentina, you have the floor.
I'm very glad that today, despite all the events that are taking place in Ukraine, we were able to gather at our annual conference. Now more than ever, we all understand how important different professions in the energy sector and how much our daily life depends on electricity and heat. And so I would like to start with honor the memory of all energy workers with a minute of silence who died from the beginning of Russia's invasion into Ukraine, starting from 2014. Please. Thanks to them, and big thank you to everyone who on every day keeping the heartbeat of our Ukraine energy system. We are confident in victory. We are confident in the rebuilding of Ukraine. And for this, we must be sure that women will have equal access and rights for their niche in the Ukrainian energy sector. For us, it's quite important right now, the support, international expertise, mentoring. We must be sure that those women who left Ukraine will be sure that they will return to rebuild Ukraine with their experience and knowledge, that they will be able, those who left Ukraine and those who keep staying in Ukraine, that they will be able to build their own businesses, that they will have enough knowledge, opportunities to receive fundings, that they will bring this knowledge and they will involve more women, their kids, their children into rebuilding Ukraine and to make it fully equal access for everyone. So thank you everyone, and let's rebuild Ukraine together.
Дякую, пані Валентино, за такі надихаючі ваші слова. Також, шановні учасники, дозвольте вам...
Thank you for these inspiring words. I would like to introduce Oksana Aliyeva, the coordinator of the program Climate Change and Energy Policy of the Heinrich Böll Foundation, as well as a member of the board of Women's Energy Club. Madam Oksana, you have the floor. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank the participants and the speakers for being able to connect in such difficult times and participate in the fourth conference, Energy Without Gender. As Anastasia mentioned before, for us it was not the easy decision. We hesitated for a while whether to hold the event under such conditions when part of the population of Ukraine does not have continuous access to electricity, in particular. And they have to prioritize what to do, basically, whether to connect to the event and hear the discussions or cook the food for themselves while they have access to electricity. From my observations, I can say that before this women are facing this choice, are put before this choice, because anyway they have the duties mostly to provide all the domestic items for their families, and the women have to prioritize even more between the professional and personal, between home and work. Our event today is called to highlight such issues. And also, I believe that even under the conditions of the war, anyway, we need to do our best to put all our efforts at the topic of gender equality, in particular in such sectors as energy sector, is on the first places, in the top of the topics nowadays reviewed in Ukraine's discourse. Because if now we drop the topic of gender equality from our attention after the end of the war, when there will be the matter of fast actions for renewal of Ukraine, it will be difficult to start from scratch and integrate the aspects of gender equality into rebuilding Ukraine and of the energy sector in particular. Therefore, in order to discuss what future do we see of the energy sector of Ukraine, what should be the renovation, how it is connected to decarbonization, we invite you to participate in the conference of this year as well. I invite everybody to the first panel discussion. I wish everybody a fruitful event, and I really hope that we all be able to calmly, with no air alerts, with no disconnections of electricity, to spend the next 1.5 hours in the very interesting company of our distinguished speakers. I return the floor to Anastasia.
Оксано, дуже дякую за ваші слова. І так, я також сподіваюся, що
Thank you very much indeed. I also hope that today many of you of us will be able to hold a fruitful conference with no power blackouts. Shall we start the first discussion panel, which is called Implementation of New Opportunities for Women under Conditions of the Wartime? And let me introduce today's moderator of our panel, Ima Hrenova-Shimkina, Director of the Project of Promotion of Energy Efficiency and Implementation of the EU Directive on Energy Efficiency in Ukraine. Ima, you have the floor.
Hello everyone, I'm very happy to be here. I'm really honored to be a part of the Women Energy Club many years, and each year I'm happy to be a part of this conference. And today I'm also absolutely touched. Then a lot of people really decided to be with us. And I would like to say that Ukraine amazes the world. Our women and also men join the army, and each day working hard in different sectors of economy and extremely hard in energy sector. And I'm so happy to say that we are not alone, and this is a very, very important for Ukraine. We receive a lot of support from different countries, all EU members countries, and especially from Germany. And the German government supported GIZ because I'm a director of GIZ project. And German political institution also supported this kind of event like we have today. I would like to say thank you to Christina Haberkamp with Dana, because thanks to her support, we can, in the frame of our work with Women Energy Club. We support a lot of women who relocated to Germany, to Europe to find the new reality, new job here. And I remember I also was part in the Munich conference. I remember how inspiration is growing together with this opportunity when they see, because the mood what we have today. And today I'm so happy that we will have this super interesting discussion. I'm so happy that we have a very powerful woman as a speaker in our event. Today we should discuss about how to transfer the war problems and challenges to the opportunities. We know that it's possible, and how to use this moment for the greater involvement of the woman, how to create condition that the woman with kids will come back, what to do and how to support IDPs, how to help companies, the perspective of the personnel, to keep the people, to motivate them to work. And because without the stable economical sector, we cannot survive. We cannot just use humanitarian support. Ukraine should be strong themselves with the strong economy. And I'm sure now we will see very interesting thoughts from our very experienced and very honored speakers. And I would like to introduce each of them. First, our speaker will be Christina Haverkamp, Managing Director of DENA. Christina has been DENA's Managing Director since October 2015. In this role, she holds responsibility for the hit topic related to international cooperation, sustainability in the transport sector, and this allows her to build on her experience in European economic and environmental policy. Christina Haverkamp studied law in Germany, Switzerland, and the USA. Happy to see you, Christina, and I would like to introduce other speakers. My question will follow after the presentation. We also have Irene Giner-Reichel, Senior Advisor of the Global Women Network of the Energy Transition. I would like to also mention that I'm a mentor of your network, Irene, and I'm happy to see you here. Dr. Giner-Reichel is the president of the Global Forum for Sustainable Energy, and she was a long-time vice president of REN21. She also Austrian ambassador to the People Republic of China and Mongolia, and Austrian ambassador to Brazil and Suriname. Ms. Ambassador, we are happy that you are with us, and I am sure it will be a very interesting discussion because you are working on the global issues and you held numerous international bureau functions and teacher. Read about you, and now I'm happy to meet you here. We also have Marina Saprykina, Head of the Center Development of Corporate Social Responsibility. Marina is a Ukrainian expert on implementation international standard on social responsibility based on the standard to 2016. She is also a consultant in Ukraine for this, such international big companies like Kyivstar, Samsung, and others. And she is a designer of the strategy, social corporate responsibility strategy on national level. And she is the author on more than 40 papers on this topic. Happy to see you here, Marina, and also Marina, just the one speaker who will have a presentation. And last but not least, is my friend, Yulia Rybak. Yulia, happy to see you here. Yulia is here. I did not see him. Yulia, hello, Yulia, I'm happy to see you. And Yulia is a co-chair of the Secretariat of the German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership. It's also one of the projects that implement GIZ in Ukraine together with support of the German government. And within the framework of the German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership, Yulia promotes and uses the green technologies to replace gas, coal, and oil, which will help to abandon Russian energy carriers and accelerate the energy transition. In partnership with the management of DENA and Women Energy Club, she initiated Women in Energy Unite for Ukraine, was founded to support highly qualified women working in energy sector. This is a program what I mentioned when I start to say. And now we are going to the questions. My first questions to Christina Hanukkah. Welcome. I'm sorry, Christina, my question, how do you see the process of the woman empowerment in this time in Ukraine in order to use this window of opportunities for women in the energy sector?
Well, first of all, let me thank you very much for the invitation to this panel. Please let me express my compassion and my sympathy for the situation in which you are in. Let me also express my deep respect for the way that the Ukraine people, both men and women, are dealing with the Russian aggression. I think it is very impressive how brave you are reacting and how consequent you are decisive. I think I should say how decisive you are coping with extremely difficult circumstances, both in the war and at home, with 40% of the energy capacities, I think, destroyed, and the remaining capacities being under focused attack in a very dirty war. Now, coming to the subject of today's panel, my impression is that pre-war Ukraine women were actually comparatively well placed in the economic sector. They were not as well placed in the political sector, but in the economic sector, I think the gender gap was far below average worldwide and rather comparable to the situation in Germany. However, in particular, I understand this is due to the fact that very many Ukrainian women set up businesses. When it comes to being employed, it apparently used to be more difficult to make a career. This is in particular true for the situation in the power sector. And now, of course, you can ask yourself, why, and does wartime change the situation to a certain respect, in a certain way? Probably the reasons are manifold. We find a comparable situation in Germany. Women in the power sector and the energy sector are comparatively underrepresented. And there is, of course, a conception that this sector is somehow connected to hard work. It's a man's world. It is also connected to the fact that fewer women study, take academic courses than men in this sector. But I think this is where somehow the cat bites its own tail. If you know that you're not likely to make a career in an energy business, then why should you study it? You rather turn someplace else. I think for those women that are remaining in Ukraine and that are already experienced in the power sector, the gap, which is a result of men having to go and fight and going to fight, does offer opportunities, does offer the opportunity to rise, to take more responsibility, to show what you can. And I think as always, with women's emancipation, self-confidence is also an issue. And taking over new obligations in situations of emergency gives rise to more self-confidence. And I think will show that in future and after the war, women are more respected and are also more self-confident. However, I understand that 90% of the civil refugees from Ukraine to outside of Ukraine are women with children. And this I can also understand very, very well. In particular, when you have children, you have to ask yourself, can you really take over the responsibility to remain with the dangers for your children? And I think for those women, it will be very important to link up with energy-related networks and with energy-related companies, such as, for example, DENA, and see that they keep in touch with what is happening in the energy world, and maybe even get a closer understanding of what energy transition is, to take that back home to the Ukraine after the war and help rebuild the country on the basis of a profound understanding of climate and energy policies in the surrounding countries. That much for starters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take with us your words. This is very important for us. Again, would like to say that it's really empower us that we are not alone. And this is most important for us, for all of us personally, and for us as a country. Thank you very much. It's very, very touchable. And now we are going to have a next speaker. It's our Dr. Yulia Rybak, co-head of Secretariat of the German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership. Yulia, my next question to you. How do you see the support of women in energy sector during the war in Ukraine? What international experience can be used for the empowerment of women? Please, Yulia.
First of all, I'm very grateful to be here with all of you. Thanks to Women Energy Club for gathering such a highly professional audience and honored speakers and raising such an important topic in challenging wartime. As a representative of German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership, I strongly believe that initiative that was launched by the partnership with the Women Energy Club and DENA with the ambitious name Women in Energy United for Ukraine will be really a very powerful vehicle for women in energy and related sectors to support, to identify and enhance the potential exactly German and Ukrainian energy transition that still is ongoing, and in the past war and recovery of Ukrainian energy sector. What is this initiative about? First of all, for those who are staying in Ukraine, women in energy and related sectors, it is about reintegration into the Ukrainian labor market. We will support identify of professional competence and qualification and establish matches between women and relevant Ukrainian stakeholders and companies, as well as German companies that are still located in Ukraine and quite operational. For those women who relocated to Germany, it is about support exactly in German labor market. The platform will facilitate the integration of women into German labor market to improve exactly economic and security and independence. So we will support the integration of women and children into the German society with a special focus on balancing family and work. And if we are talking about exactly experience of other countries, I would strongly recommend to take German and Nordic countries experience. It is exactly about the gender quality with the working hours, with the maternity leave, with the salaries, of course. And I would strongly recommend to have the gender audit, as actually we are talking about it for several years, what we would need in Ukraine after the war in order to have this gender equality. After this gender audit, we will identify exactly the options where should be improvement taking place. Also, platform Women in Energy United for Ukraine. It is about, of course, networking and mentoring. So the experts who are in Ukraine and who are relocated in Germany should find a reliable partner, advisors, and mediator, and should be empowered to pursue professional activities and development in Ukraine, to gain and also to gain a professional foundation in Germany. So exactly Women in Energy together with Dana will intensify and will provide trainings, courses, networking that will facilitate all these important mentoring facilities. Also, it is about further qualification. What we would need in Germany and in Ukraine as well, it is capacity buildings and improving professional skills. And I'm sure that due to such a powerful tool, it will be really possible to take new opportunities for women in the wartime, because only united, all together, we will manage to build back better in sustainable way with the new green technologies targeting to strengthen exactly our Ukrainian energy system based on green transition, of course, and achieving decarbonization goals that are still with us, together with reconstruction recovery plan. And of course, we will reach energy independence. Actually, our target is to integrate gender equality mainstreaming into all processes connected to recovery, to ensure that all the projects that will be under implementation with the post-recovery and preparation for recovery processes are gender sensitive, and it will be also our one of the goals. And I believe that here there are huge opportunities exactly for women to encourage and to hold as economic and energy front to help to bring our victory much more closer, because our women, Ukrainian women, of course, all women, but Ukrainian women are exactly now under the most challenging situation, are extremely strong and extremely powerful. And after our victory, Ukraine will become innovative with the modern rebuilt cities and competitive conditions for our talented people. So let's do it together, united.
Thank you, Yulia, for this very inspired words. And I would like also to take with us one quotation from your speech. It's a gender audit. And I also would like to inform all of you that in the frame of my project, what I'm leading, we are support to develop gender audit in MENA region, and also now helping to create a strategy for state energy efficiency agency to make for sure in the part of this strategy would be gender audit. That's then we again align together. Thank you, Yulia, again. And now we are going to the next speaker. Miss Ambassador Gina Reichel, I would like to ask you the question. Global Women Network for Energy Transition is a network working on the empowerment of women in energy sector. I'm also part of your network and happy to be with you. What tools would you advise to use to involve women in the energy sector? Mentoring, requalifications, changing the policies. Please give us your advice, because now we are working on the level of the instruments developed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this. Congratulations to the Energy Club of Ukraine. It's a very impressive conference that you have put together. Let me at the outset also pay tribute and express my deepest respect for the people of Ukraine and for the admirable way in which they handle themselves in this very difficult situation, and for the confidence and the strength with which they work towards peace and freedom for their country. Now, your conference said that energy has no gender, but as we have heard also from Christina Haverkamp, and I would like to acknowledge with gratitude also the excellent working relationship that the Global Women's Network has with Dana, and we hope very much to deepen that relationship also with regard to Ukraine in the future. As we have heard from you, Christina, the energy sector usually is quite male-dominated, and that is the same in Ukraine as in many other countries. Now, the situation in Ukraine and the aggression, the Russian aggression to Ukraine also drove home the point very forcefully that energy goes to the heart of national security, of national autonomy, to work with other nations the way a government chooses to. And therefore, the energy sector will also play a very, very crucial role in the rebuilding of Ukraine when the moment comes. And I hope very much personally that this moment comes soon, when the arms and the fighting can stop and we can revert to a peaceful situation.
businesses to support gender equality in the economic sector. So there are many tools out there. I think the important point, and with that I would like to close, the important point is that women are at the table throughout the process. And then they can speak for themselves and they can make their needs heard. And they can also bring to the decision making the unique experience that only women have. And the perspective of women with children that was brought into the conversation earlier is a very important perspective that we cannot forget. And the decisions that we will take in this inclusive and participatory way will simply be better than the ones that could be taken if women were not at the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's also a lot of instruments that we will take with you, from you, with us. And I think very important what you said is recreate society, transformate society, and put women to the table. I think this is a very important message, and we will be happy to think in this manner, because we are all the time talking about rebuilding of the building country, but it's important to understand. And also you said about commitment of the business, and this is very good bridge to our next speaker. Thank you, Irena, for you. And now we are going to Marina. Marina, we also have a question for you, because you see, without the business, we cannot have a strong country, and we cannot do nothing in principle. Then how, from your perspective, from entrepreneur's point of view, what should be done to make business more woman-friendly, gender-oriented policies, and what barriers can be there? Please, Marina, floor is yours. You can share your presentation.
Ma, thanks a lot, and it's a great pleasure to be with you. And you know that being a speaker from Ukraine has a new shade of happiness. So I hope that electricity will be with me during my presentation. And actually, electricity is a basic, access to electricity is a basic human rights. And now Russia is trying to deprive us of this, making its terror against civilians and Ukraine. But they didn't expect one thing, that Ukrainians are brave. We have brave Ukrainian soldiers, we have brave Ukrainian businesses, and yes, we have brave Ukrainian electricians. So thanks for electricity under such critical times. Actually, I'm also a national and international consultant of UN Women. And yesterday I presented first results of best corporate practices on women empowerment, which was ordered by UN Women. And I would like to tell you some first results from this study. And I will switch into Ukrainian. We
have interviewed, good morning once again, we have interviewed the employees of the companies, about 40 participants from the companies, from the government agencies, from civic organizations, about what women want today. I would like to mention several aspects. First is relocation. This is important, and you may understand that after 10th of October, when there was the next wave of shellings, again, the matter of relocation became more important. Second is flexible work schedule. Thirdly, this is support of mental health. This was not discussed, but today this is a very important aspect that the companies must take care about. The second is raising salaries, financial support. We all understand inflation in Ukraine, inflation in Europe, inflation all over the world. Yet, nevertheless, this is also important for Ukrainian women, because this is also related to the problems of rentals of homes, opening kindergartens or children's centers in the companies. this was just mentioned. This is also important. You may understand, not in every kindergarten, not in every school there is a bomb shelter. Therefore, it's very important when we speak about the work, rebuilding of the economy. The companies have to focus their attention on that. I would like to say that when we have studied the practices, the companies are already focusing on that. Organization of parental day in the company when they could be taken to work. The opportunity to visit the doctors during the work hours, and also education, training inside the company for promotion, uh, uh, development of qualification. And the key thing, whether we include the gender or shall we not, it's not an issue any longer, because we are bound to do that. Because if today the men are in the front line, yes, there are 15% of women also in the military who also defend Ukraine. I would like to thank them for this. But also today, on quite many vacancies, the women come. And today, Ukrainian companies are teaching, retraining and training the women, provide professional development for some vacancies, which were considered for men, they already consider women. When we have compared the practices in the companies before the beginning of the full-scale war about economic empowerment of women, those were four main things, four main blocks. First, hiring procedures and deployment, support of women at the workplace, in the professional sphere, mentorship programs, balance between work and family, and also support of women at the level of the communities, working with civic organization. When we say during the war, what the companies are doing today, or what the companies can do today in the context of improvement of the economic empowerment of women. First is a remote mode of work. We need to thank COVID, which taught the companies. Quite many companies have quickly reoriented for remote work, also relocation of the employees and their families. I would like to say one important thing. When the companies, in the first days, first months of the war, did not divide employees into men and women. They helped all the employees equally. The third thing the companies do is providing psychological support. In those companies which had it, have reinforced those programs. Those who did not have started them. We speak of the major companies. This is also important to understand. Also, financial support. Some companies, including international ones, have paid bonuses and so on. What are the new directions today? As we have discussed, this is training of women in the new qualifications and specializations. Also employment of IDPs, internally displaced persons, mainly women, and also organization of children's rooms in the offices for the employees. And also today there are programs. There are companies that have initiated support of Ukrainian women, Ukrainian leaders who will rebuild the country. In the plans, this was in the plans before the war. Nowadays it is in the plans after the war. We did not find such a practice about promotion of women in the supply chains. This what can be done. We began to discuss with the companies that the companies procure from women's businesses, and support them. This is possible, and this can be as one of the pieces of advice of what nowadays the donors can do, what the companies can do in order to support Ukrainian women. It is important to say that the female employees of the companies notice the advantages of those companies that invest into economic empowerment of women. And this is important. And of course, in the times of post-war rebuilding, women will be among those who will rebuild the country and will be actively involved into those spheres where previously only men dominated. This is a very brief review. When we say that we recommend, this was discussed, there is a program of requalification, the program of psychological support, children's rooms, Of course, we speak about gender audits, and also that the companies today can post factum evaluate the impact of their programs on men and women. And using this opportunity, I would like to say that during the war, we have initiated the new program for women. I'm very proud. This is Ukrainian Women Entrepreneurs Hub of Ukrainian Women Entrepreneurs. We have made the first graduation of women, Ukrainian women who were IDPs in Ukraine or refugees abroad. There was an online hub, and now I'm proud that we shall be the offline hub in Ukraine, also in the liberated territories for Ukrainian women entrepreneurs. It seems to me that also investing into women's entrepreneurship is a very cool opportunity to drive the economy of Ukraine and to support Ukrainian women. And also, this is a very important aspect that the partners can do. The companies, donors, civic organizations, because not all the companies will keep the same number of employees, both men and women, that they have. But they can invest and help those women who will dismiss or will be dismissed by the companies to help them to start their own business. Therefore, today, we cannot say what we can do for women's economic empowerment. It's already with us. Simply, we need to review which sphere shall we take and what shall we do exactly. Thank you.
And I'm absolutely sure that Ukrainian companies is already faced the support for the women, and it will be very happy to see the new result for our next meeting when we will see each other. And I'm sure that it's inspiring not just me, but all our panelists that you are already using this toolkit, what Irene has mentioned during her speech. And now I would like to ask all of you, do you have a comments? Maybe you'd like to add something to stimulate some further discussion. We have additional time, a little bit. Who would like to have a comment? Christina?
Here we go. Thank you. Well, just one short comment. There was a lot of mentioning additional instruments and procedures as far as women's participation in the workforce, in particular in the energy sector is concerned. And I think this is important. However, talking from what I've been told by my parents of the German post-war experiences and what I have seen in other countries post-war, there is going to be, and this is very sad, but it's also the reality, there is going to be a lack of men. After the war, there will be less men in proportion to women. And I think what is extremely important is getting the mindset, and I think this will develop by itself it is developing probably by itself during war times, getting the mindset so that the women in Ukraine are ready to taking over now, I think, already to a very large extent, and taking over even more after the war, when there is so much reconstruction to be done. And I'm very confident that this will happen, and this will change also the relationship between the genders in the long term. .
Thank you very much. It's very important. Irene, please, your comment.
Thank you very much. No, I think this was a very rich round of comments and statements. I think the study that Marina started to give us some highlights of is very important, and it will lead the way. You know, will show us concrete steps that we can take, and it can also serve as a model, if you wish, for other countries. The issue of the relationship between women and men, I think in this context is very very important, and perhaps less difficult than in other circumstances, also because of some of the things that Christina reminded us of right now, some of the sad realities of this situation. But I think the best way of involving men is to be in dialogue with men, and to listen to them, and to hear what their concerns are, and to bring across the point that the new society that we all hope will emerge once energy transitions are successfully completed in Ukraine, but in many other countries, really in every other country as well, that this new society will also bring a lot of benefits for men. You know, equality between women and men does not just bring benefits to women, it also brings benefits to men, because men also have an interest in decent working conditions, in flexible working hours, in the possibility to combine work and life in a balanced way. Men also want to be good fathers and spend time with their children. So from our perspective, we don't see this as an adversarial relationship. It's not women against men. It's women and men together are needed with their differentiated life experiences, with their differentiated skills. But working together, they bring the whole of the talent that is present in a society at a given moment. They bring that to bear, and I think that is very necessary. Of course, gender bias is often unconscious, but there are many workshops and methods and possibilities to help people in a targeted way to recognize gender bias and to step out of it, and to free themselves of something that is really fettering, is really limiting the freedom of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's also super good comment. Women and men together. I think this is the most important message what we can also take with us, because always when I'm talking with somebody about our club, and they said, the men sometimes making jokes, they said, woman, you're not enough powerful. You would like to say, you would like to have always more and more. And this is a good argument to them to say, no, we don't want to be against no one. We would like to be together and create more power and more synergy than to make us all more stronger. Thank you very much. I would like also to ask other panelists for the additional comment, or maybe someone from the auditorium, from our participants would like to say something. First, you can raise the hand. Second, you can write your questions to the chat. I'm trying to read them. Please. I see a lot of friends here in the list of attendees, and we, all of us, I'm personally would like to inspire you to talk to us? I'm checking the line. No hands. I did not see any hands. Okay. Then Yulia, Marina, do you have something? Who will start? Yulia, давай. Yulia, Marina, you were second. Yulia, first, not.
Ima, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I missed, I think,
It was
with connection.
open question. It was open question. Do you want to add something for the panel as a comment?
As a comment, I just want to add that it is strongly important for us now to unite our efforts within the development of reconstruction plan. First of all, I would like also to announce that under German-Ukrainian Energy Partnership, we will have our active role in implementation of the recovery activities. I would like to also present Dana's role. It will be a very important role under district heating activities, because now Dana is working on solutions for district heating for the occupied regions, and we are looking forward for the implementation phase where we can have not only the recommendations that are very important, but also the real efforts where we can really provide important equipment. Also would like to mention that under partnership we are working on the just transition, on energy efficiency, but it's with Ima as a director of the project, and of course we will work on the hydrogen and biomethane activities. And for all these initiatives, women role are highly important, and I would like just to invite all of you professionals from energy sector and related sectors to be part of our activities that will be targeted on the recovery and all the on the green transition, and of course, as I mentioned, to build back better. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulia. Now, Marina, please. And I see the questions in the chat. I will read it afterwards.
Yes, I would like to add once more that I'm a great fan of women entrepreneurship, and I think that we need to develop this. And as before, I told you some strategic things, but also we can do some practical things. First is to buy something from Ukrainian entrepreneur, and you can do it after this conference. And I think it will be just a small step to do something. And also there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of grants and a lot of projects for Ukrainian women today, for Ukrainian women entrepreneurs. And as yesterday we discussed that there would be even more opportunities. So I think that it's very, very important to get prepared for this. And also it's very important for also governmental agencies to understand the impact of their program, of their grants. For example, Yerobota, we have this grant system now, to understand the impact of this program on women and men. And perhaps Pani Ima, you can do it with the agencies you work. And regarding Marina's question, because I read it in the email, perhaps later you could ask other speakers. I think, Marina, it depends on the company. If you're asking about the company, so I think now it's a business case, because when we are talking about business case, it means that it's it's even profitable for companies to invest in women today, taking into account the situation now. So you could just show figures about vacancies, about unemployed women, and what your company can do. And the second one, how we can increase, how we can improve relations between or support, how we can have support from men in the company. It's through trainings and yes, and through dialogue, as Ms. Ambassador said, because it's very important. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marina. We have also the question from another Marina, our friend and colleague. She's thanking us for the great session and the presentation, and have one question to all of us. How to engage more men to support men, so that not only women energize women, but men realize how important is to energize women. Who would like to answer for this interesting question?
I can say a sentence or two. I think one of the observations that many of us have made at conferences or at panels, etc., is when we talk about gender dimensions, be it in energy or in any other field, then there are usually women on the panel and women in the auditorium, and very few men, right? And then when we talk about other aspects of the topic, then the proportion is often reversed. So I think one step forward is really to devise gender discussions in conferences in such a way that there are not only women speakers, but also bring men on the panel and ask them to state their views and engage in a dialogue with them. In most of the contexts, the men will be quite supportive for gender equality, because I think most enlightened men have understood that gender equality is a good thing. So bring them to the panel and allow them to say what they have to say. And we also need to hear where they see perhaps problems, right? I don't know, perhaps in the skilling part, or perhaps in the life balance part. I don't know. But at any rate, we need to listen also to what the men that are reasonable men, right? I mean, we, of course, but they have to say, and to learn from them and to engage with them in the dialogue. I think simply to bring a man on the panel when we talk about gender diversity will change the dynamic, and not just perhaps bring one man on the panel, but allow for some balance on the panel, right? And at the same time, make a big effort to bring women on panels that are directed to so-called technical subjects, so that there is an intermingling in both categories of panels. Of course, that is only a small measure because it will only relate to conferences, but then it can be extended to other situations in the work of a company or in the work of an institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last year, we have one man in my panel, I remember, and we lost him. You see how difficult to keep their attention. Thank you, Irina, for your comment, and please, Christina.
Well, first, thank you very much to Mrs. Ambassador for this, I think, very, very good idea. proposing to have maybe not only one, but even more men on panels, in particular on those that deal with equal rights for women. I think it would be important to get their view. It might not be easy to get them to participate, but I think we should be working on that, because once you're forced to participate in a discussion, you become more constructive than when you're left outside. In fact, I've always promoted the idea of having a male equal opportunity representative in larger companies, so that his male colleagues might trust him more when he says it's good for you. When a woman communicates this message, for some it might mean she is self-serving. If a man communicates such a message, he is beyond that doubt. And I also think it's really important for women to participate in technical energy-related discussions, because you are seen, you are perceived. And I think the perception changes the attitudes. The more women you see on TV, in panels, on the board, the more natural it becomes and the more acceptable it becomes. So I believe that is really important too. There is one other point I would like to make in Germany. In the public sector, we have right now, and also on the level of the European community, we right now have a strong movement in favor of equal jobs for men and women, meaning that more women are likely to make a career than men in these sectors. And I know from my former colleagues at the German Ministry for Economy and Climate Action that they are a bit afraid of what is happening. They think they're missing out on career chances that they would deserve. I don't think that's right, but I also think it's important to offer men things that are important for women, but also important for men. And Mrs. Ambassador pointed some things out, like men do want to care for their children. So if you have a good regulation on taking off time to care for children, we see that more and more men will be willing to use that. Making attractive offers to both genders, I think, will also contribute to changing the mindset.
Super, you're absolutely right. I think we have a super powerful panel, and we have one additional question from our colleague Oksana Lima, whom you already know. And she's asking about your experience or cases, how women will engage in post-conflict recovery in other countries, maybe Balkans, and if you know something about the lessons learned available.
Ima,
Yes, please.
yeah, okay.
First, sorry, Marina, sorry, first it was
okay.
Irene, please, and Marina, you are next.
No problem. Thank you very much. I don't have any direct experience of women involved in post-conflict recovery in other countries. But I do know that, for example, in the Balkans, they were not properly involved. You know, we have many, there are many photos, even in the news media, where we saw the negotiating teams were all men. And what I can point to is the work that has been done at the level of the Security Council of the United Nations about the nexus between security and women. And there are a number of resolutions that have been adopted. The first of these resolutions was Security Council Resolution 1325, where it was pointed out that women are affected by conflict in a different fashion than men, but then also that women have a very important contribution to make in all reconciliation, peace building, peacemaking, recovery processes, and that they have a right to sit at the table. And several other resolutions have been adopted by the Security Council also in the following years that go into more detail about these questions. And they all reinforce the issue that the women have to sit at the table when it comes to discussing issues that have to do with the future of their societies, the future of their countries. And if they do, then there is usually a better perspective of a lasting good development, a lasting peace, lasting economic recovery, lasting social recovery, etc. Because simply, they bring so much of talent and life experience to the table. And they can then also teach the young, and they do teach their neighbors, etc. Women are multipliers in the society. So if you look at if you search in the web under the issue of Security Council and women and conflict and post-recovery, you will find all these resolutions that are quite useful, I think, in the current context.
Thank you very much. Marina, please.
Sana, thanks a lot for the question. Because within the UN Women's Study on Best Corporate Practices, we also wanted to study international experience, and we discussed quite long with many non-governmental organizations and governmental representatives which countries we should take. And there was a common conclusion that the reality is different. Now, for example, if we are talking about Balkans, it was the time when IT services, for example, or mobile services were not so developed. So that's why we didn't take the Balkans into as a country for the study, but we studied Georgia, we studied Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Israel, and Moldova, Republic of Moldova. And I should say that, first of all, Ukraine has some specifics. And it is now, because in all these countries, economic empowerment programs started after the war ended. In Ukraine, we started doing it now in time of war. And I think it's one specific, but in terms of the best or lessons learned, we have found two crucial things, which I have already told. First, it's requalification. And for example, in some countries, it was teaching IT to women. And you know that in Ukraine now, for example, Projector Institute launched the program to teach 5,000 women of new IT skills. And the second, it's creation of resource centers for women, where they could, and such resource centers were created in Georgia, were created in Turkey for Syrian refugees, were created in Azerbaijan. And in these resource centers, there were a lot of support for women, including psychological support, including entrepreneurship support and mentorship support. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We have just 5 minutes. before the end of our very active and intensive and knowledgeable panel, I see one question, Marina, for you about the English version of your research. Do you have an English version?
First of all, it's not my research, it's UN Women research, and now they are discussing, and I told you that it was preliminary results, so now we are discussing it. The results will be validated with NGOs and with governmental agencies and donors, and I hope that by the end of the year it will be in Ukrainian and in English. Thanks.
Super. Then please don't forget and make a reminder to send us all of our panelists, because that question was from Marianne General to have it, but I think for everyone it would be interesting to have it also in English. And you have last 4 minutes to share some ideas if you have it, and the last 4 minutes to ask the questions or make a comment from the participants. The last call for the people who would like to say something, or you are tired a little bit. Okay, please, Marina.
For me, the message is simple. Go and buy something from Ukrainian women entrepreneurs.
Yes, it's absolutely good message. And now also you said also very important things. Then all the experience, what we tried to learn, it was the times when it was not enough internet, it was no Instagram, we can buy everything now through the Instagram. And we also doing, in the frame of my project, we are doing 4 different directions: energy efficiency reform, energy efficiency in municipalities. We have 43 municipalities of the partners. We are doing energy efficient education and energy efficiency in companies. I'm leading the program. It's a big program, and we have a different direction. And first days of the war, we have request from our political partner in region. Then they ask us to have some support to make new legislation, what to do with construction garbage, construction debris. We have a lot, and we start to learn serious experience. And we understand even the first days of the war, we have 10 times more damages than in Syria. And now, after the mostly 1 year of the war, we have 100 times more than. It means we are creating now unique experience, and from us, everyone will learn something. And unfortunately, the life like that, and for sure we need the inspiration from our partners, colleagues abroad. We need to be strong. We need to work together, women and men. And I'm happy that we have a very good mood, country have a very good mood. And really would like to again to thank Ukraine amazes everyone, even your own people. And we're really happy that we have a good mood. We're really happy that we still have electricity. We have one more question. How to invite women, specialist women, to go back to Ukraine? How to make stabilization? Who would like to add? Marina, please.
I think it's quite a painful question, and actually I also was in Austria for 6 months, and I came back because it's important to be here. But we understand that not all women could come back, especially with children. And now some companies started already to think about program how to return their employees from abroad. So I think for companies, it's a good time now to think about this. And the second, I actually think that we need to launch new governmental program on this, especially regarding youth and how to do this. Actually, there are a lot of questions, but I do not still have the simple reply, but I think some grants, some support, some interesting innovative opportunities should be for people.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we will have a lot of interesting. Shall we take a group picture? Yes, sure. It's a very good idea. And then everyone who can switch the camera, please do it. And when we are preparing this common photo, I would like to thank you first to the panelists. It was very, very powerful and interesting panel, and very interesting for me. I hope also for all of attendees. I'm going to Berlin in 8th, 9th of December. I hope we can organize small coffee together to discuss more about all our ideas. And I'm so happy that it was interesting for all of us. And I inspire you, all our participants, to come tomorrow, because unfortunately Anastasia lost her power to talk to you, and now I'm doing her work and inspire you to come tomorrow. And please make a view, like a gallery. I think it will be good. And who can also switch the camera, please switch it. And who would like to make a photo, please do it. I think I will make a photo because I did not see others. Ready? Smile. Good. Good. Thank you very much again, and hope to see you soon. Have a nice day.
Thank you.